Part 29. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 281. When Gu Beizu said these words, he couldn't help it and burst into tears. A warm, rough hand held her face and carefully wiped away the tears on her face. She looked at Gu Qingsong with tears in his eyes red, and regret seemed to be engraved in his heart, which was why he showed such a painful expression. Beizu, I'm sorry, Dad didn't know, if I could have come to you earlier. When he heard Gu Beizu talk about the past, he felt so guilty that all his explanations became pale. She said she didn't want a father because she was so disappointed in the father she had been looking forward to since she was a child. Dad caused these unintentionally, but he can't absolve himself of his responsibility. He can't ask you to accept me. Gu Beizu fell into the broad and warm embrace, her hands fell to her sides, and she did not respond to Gu Qingsong's embrace. She had fantasized about this hug countless times, but instead of getting the happiness she wanted, she was only filled with sadness. Gu Beizu didn't want to forgive Gu Qingsong. She said those words to let him know that when he was living a good life, his wife and children were suffering here and deliberately made him feel guilty. If he had a conscience, he should not disturb them and do what he said. Something happened that hurt my mother. But after she said all the words, she saw that Gu Qingsong was really painful and regretful. Gu Beizu was not happy at all, because only Gu Qingsong cared about them and her words could hurt him. Gu Beizu would rather Gu Qingsong didn't care about them, so she wouldn't be sad. All the faults were caused by Lu. It's them who suffer. Gu Beizu was on her mother's side. Pushing Gu Qingsong away, she climbed onto the carriage without saying a word. Uncle Mon, I want to go home. Okay. Mon drove away in the carriage. Gu Qingsong watched the carriage leave, his red eyes full of confusion. He didn't know what to do to untie Liu's heart knot. Is it true that, as Gu Beizu said, if you miss it and you won't be bothered anymore? He couldn't help but think of Mr. Liu's white hair at the temples, the fine lines at the end of his eyes, the tears of sadness, and his clenched fists. It shouldn't be like this, they shouldn't be like this. Master, are you still going? Go. Gu Qingsong stepped on his horse and left. When Suwan heard that Gu Beizu was out looking for Gu Qingsong, she was worried and went out to look for him. Recognizing Gu Mansion's carriage from a distance, Suwan hurriedly walked towards the carriage. Suddenly, a carriage drove past in the same direction as Suwan and stopped in front of a shop, blocking the Gu family's carriage. This main street is narrow, with stalls on the ground on the other side, and horse-drawn carriages passing by in an endless stream. It was extremely difficult for Gu's carriage to change lanes. Unless the carriage that is blocked moves forward for a certain distance. Two girls got out of the carriage. Suwan recognized one of the girls at a glance. It was Cao Sugzio, the concubine of Cao Guanji, the governor of Liangjiang. Before going to Ziliang Kingdom, Cao Wanqing knew Cao Sugzio's true identity and planned to make the final decision on Cao Sugzio's marriage and marry her out of the capital. Unexpectedly, after so long, Cao Sugzio is still not married. Suwan walked over quickly, and Mon got off the carriage and negotiated with the coachman. Your carriage is parked here, blocking the street, and the carriage behind it cannot move. Can you move it? Cao Sugzio recognized the Gu family's carriage and also recognized Mon. She stared at the carriage with dark eyes, hatred welling up in her heart. She had long known that Suwan had instigated Cao Wanqing to deal with her. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 282. Cao Sugzio dared to take action against Cao Wanqing because she was sure to find a way out for herself. Fortunately, she succeeded in saving herself and prevented Cao Wanqing from taking action on her marriage. She whispered in the ear of the girl next to her, Lord of Linan County, This carriage belongs to Gujuran's house. The family moved to the capital to take the exam. After a pause, she added, I am ill this year and cannot participate in the spring festival. These words imply that the Lord of Linan County, the owner of the carriage, is the most important person in the industry. The Lord of Linan County has a noble status. He has been pampered since he was a child and has been willful. With Cao Sugseo by her side, it would really be embarrassing for her to move the carriage, as Moun said. Linan County Lord raised his eyebrows, raised his chin, and looked at Moun with an arrogant expression. My county lord's carriage is going to stop here. You won't be able to walk on such a wide road next to it. Moun's face darkened, and he recognized that the person in front of him was Princess Yongfu's daughter, the princess of Linan County. Her father was the Marquis of Guangyuan. He could not offend her rashly at this time. Moun Suwan called out and walked to the carriage. As if she didn't see the conflict in front of her, she urged, hurry up. The eldest princess invites me to be a guest at her house. Don't keep her waiting for too long. The head of Linan County was ignored by Suwan and felt that his dignity was being challenged. But a commoner dared to be so arrogant. Just as she was about to speak, Cao Sugseo pulled the sleeve of Linan County Lord and said awkwardly, Linan County Lord, you didn't grow up in the capital, so you may not know her identity well. She is Gujuran's wife, and there is another one identity is that she is the eldest daughter of Dingyuan Ho Mansion. She has medical skills and solved the chess game set by Mr. Siet. The eldest princess treated her as a guest. Isn't Marquis Dingyuan dead? The whole family is extinct. Linan County Lord was very disdainful, but after thinking about it, he was worried about the eldest princess and didn't want to make things too serious. She couldn't get off the stage just by giving in like this. Miss, the carriage behind you is stuck in a queue. Could you please move the carriage? In front of the tea house, there is a flat area dedicated to parking carriages. It is only a few dozen steps away. Suwan handed Linan County Lord a letter. He walked up the steps and said, the snacks in that tea house are pretty good, you can try them. Linan County Lord's face softened, and he said with a haughty expression, if the snacks are not delicious, I will go to my aunt to settle the score with you. Then, he gave the coachman a wink, and the coachman immediately moved the carriage away. Suwan thanked him, and as soon as he got on the carriage, he quickly glanced at Linan County Lord. She was wearing an emerald green brocade dress and a pearl hair ornament on her head. She had a delicate appearance, quite like Xiajiabiu. Her eyebrows were sharply drawn, which made her look unruly and domineering. After Cao Sugseo waited for the carriage to drive away, she breathed a sigh of relief and said thankfully, fortunately, you didn't have a stalemate with her. She was in front of her just now, so it was inconvenient to say a lot of things. Even though the person she married was not from a high family background, she was a great person in the country. The fourth master Zhao in the palace has an unusual relationship with her. If you make things difficult for her, I'm afraid that fourth master Zhao will seek justice for her. Zhao Wei, Linan County Lord looked angry, how dare he? Cao Sugseo lowered her head and remained silent, but raised the corners of her mouth. Linan County Lord admired Zhao Wei. Zhao Wei had longing for Suwan, but he treated Linan County Lord without hypocrisy. This made the arrogant Linan County Lord, how can I not be jealous in my heart? Women's jealousy is terrible. After a while, Linan County Lord asked uncertainly, Zhao Wei really has feelings for this woman. County Master, I saw with my own eyes that fourth Master Zhao cared for her in Guangling Mansion. You have been in the capital for more than half a year. When have you ever seen him be kind to any woman? Cao Sugseo suddenly remembered something and whispered, in a few days, it's the 70th birthday of the old lady of Duke Zhao's house. You'll know when the time comes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 283. Idiot, how can this woman of low status be qualified to celebrate the birthday of the old lady of Duke Zhao's mansion? The head of Linan County was very irritated when he thought that Zhao Wei had a romantic relationship with Suwan. He vented all his anger on Cao Sugxiu and ruthlessly gouged her out. One glance, if you dare to spread rumors and cause trouble, I will tear your mouth apart. Cao Sugxiu looked horrified. County Master, how dare I tell you lies? She is of low status. If she goes to attend the old lady's birthday, wouldn't it just illustrate the problem? Linan County Lord gritted his teeth. So what if it's true? She's already married. Cao Sugxiu wanted to say more. Linan County Lord rolled up his sleeves and angrily went to Qin to tea house instead of visiting the jewelry store. Cao Sugxiu looked at the back of Linan County Lord, curled her lips, and the fish took the bait. Suwan got into the carriage, and Gu Beizu lay on her lap without saying a word. Zuer, if you are unhappy, you can tell me. Suwan gently stroked her slightly yellowed hair with his fingers. The carriage bumped and swayed, and the sunlight penetrated through the curtains and shone slantly on Gu Beizu's face. Her double eyelids are wide, her eye sockets are deep, her yellowish hair looks light brown in the sun, and she looks a bit like a mixed race. She is very beautiful and cute. I went to find him. I wanted to anger him and make him regret it, but I regretted it. Gu Beizu lowered his eyelids and said in a low voice, he doesn't care about us. No matter what I say, it doesn't hurt. It makes me sad to see him sad and know that he has us in his heart. Suwan rubbed her head, which showed that Gu Beizu was soft-hearted and kind-hearted. She cared about Gu Qingsong's concern for them, so she was moved when she saw Gu Qingsong was sad. When she stabbed Gu Qingsong with her words, she also hurt herself. Zuer, we all like you very much. We hope you can be carefree and happy every day. You can do whatever you want, and we will not interfere with you and will support you. Suwan pinched her fair little face and said, you don't have to think too much. Gu Beizu said nothing. Suwan patted her back gently to make her relax. Before getting off the carriage, Gu Beizu said vaguely, I miss my second brother. These words struck Suwan instantly, and she was stunned for a while. Gu Beizu still didn't know that Gu Jingyun was not her biological second brother, and that the child who died in infancy was the pain in Gu's mother's heart. If this knot cannot be resolved, her relationship with Gu Qingsong as husband and wife will be over. Suwan held Gu Beizu's hand and looked back at the house. She walked around the wall and saw Gu's mother sitting in the front hall. The two walked into the front hall, and Suwan saw a big red invitation with gold powder on the table. Gu's mother stared at Gu Beizu for a while and found that her eyes were red. She knew that she had cried a lot and pulled Gu Beizu into her arms. Zuzu, are you hungry? Gu Beizu shook his head, buried his head in Gu's mother's arms, hugged her and said nothing. She knew her daughter, Amoruomua, and Gu's mother knew that Gu Beizu was confused and didn't know what to do. If she had no thoughts about Gu Qingsong at all, she would definitely tell her something bad about Gu Qingsong to comfort her. Gu's mother touched her little head, sighed, picked up the invitation card and handed it to Suwan. This was sent by a servant of Duke Zhao's mansion. It was said that Mrs. Zhao was frightened and couldn't eat. Please come and take a look. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 284. At the end of the day on the next day, Zhao Qiuagong's mansion received Suwan's reply and arranged for someone to take Suwan to Zhao Qiuagong's mansion. Zhao Wei was standing in the front hall waiting, and saw Suwan wearing a light red dress, which was particularly eye-catching in the fresh green of the garden, walking towards him with flowers and willows. In his impression, Suwan seemed to like the color red very much, but it was not a bright red, but a clear and shallow light red, which was very elegant and refined, and easily captured people's attention. After not seeing each other for more than half a year, Suwan seemed to be even thinner. General Zhao, long time no see. Suwan stood a few steps away from Zhao Wei. When the servant said that he had been waiting for her here for 2/4 of an hour, a faint smile appeared on her face. You don't have to wait in person, arrange for the maid, just take me to Mrs. Zhao's house. I have something to tell you. Zhao Wei moved his chin closer to the Bluestone Road and motioned for Suwan to follow him. The 100,000 bottles of wound medicine I ordered from you have all been delivered. I heard before that you were going to develop typhoid fever medicine. It is a special medicine that does not require decoction and can be made into pills. It is very suitable for soldiers to carry with them when marching. If you have a headache or a fever, you can take it easily. Suwan went to Ziliang and put all her plans on hold. When Zhao Wei asked, she gave a time. Wait until I develop it in 3 to 5 days, and I will send someone to deliver it to you. Thank you. Zhao Wei looked down at her thin figure, which was like a willow branch swaying in the wind beside a pond, and frowned. Don't be in a hurry, just take your time. Suwan smiled at him and didn't reply. The two people came to Rong'an Hall. The maid guarding the door said, "Fourth Master, Dr. Su." Then, he opened the curtain and let the two people in. Zhao Wei walked in front, and Suwan came in behind him. The windows in the house were open and the incense was scented, and the smell of medicine was very light. Mrs. Zhao was sitting on the kong, her silver-white hair was combed meticulously, and she wore a piece of embroidered longevity pattern with a ruby on her forehead to wipe her forehead. Her wrinkled face was extremely kind, her eyelids were drooped, and she was very lethargic. Rong's mother next to her saw Zhao Wei and Suwan coming in and said quickly, "Fourth Master, Dr. Su, you are here." Upon hearing this, Mrs. Zhao opened her eyelids, her kind gaze passing over Zhao Wei and falling directly on Suwan. Look at her wearing a light red dress, her face is bright and beautiful, her eyes are very clear and lively, and she has the style of a forest. Compared with the way Suwan looked before she got married, she looked more graceful and beautiful. "Girl Su, come on, come to me." Mrs. Zhao had a smile on her face and stared at Suwan intently. She especially liked all beautiful things, especially beautiful people. God, his whole body was full of energy. It has been more than a year since I last saw you. Suwan came to Mrs. Zhao. The old lady held her hand directly and said, "Why are your hands so cold? It's cold in spring. You should wear more clothes. Don't take advantage of your young age to not take care of your body." She touched Suwan's clothes again and wore 2 pieces. The outer one was a little thicker, which made her feel a little relieved. Suwan was surprised by Mrs. Zhao's attitude towards her. She quickly reacted, "I got sick not long ago and my body has not fully recovered." She held Mrs. Zhao's hand with a smile, "I'll get you a treat first." Peace pulse. Okay. Mrs. Zhao pulled up her sleeves. Suwan took his pulse, glanced at Zhao Wei who was standing aside, and retracted his hand. "You are frightened, it's nothing serious. I'll prescribe you some soothing medicine. You make the decision. It is said in the capital that you have good medical skills." Mrs. Zhao looked at Suwan's written prescription and said in a kind tone, "I haven't seen your grandmother for a long time. It's my birthday in a few days. You and your grandmother will be together. Stand up." Rong's mother handed the invitation card to Suwan. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 285. Suwan took the invitation, and when a sentence came to her lips, she swallowed it. Mrs. Zhao looked a little haggard. After all, she was old and had been frightened and could not recover well. "Girl Su, you are Xiao Yi's friend. I asked you to make this special trip and ask him to let you have lunch later." Mrs. Zhao looked tired after saying a few words. Suwan quickly refused, "You don't have to be so polite. I came back from Ziliang and haven't visited my grandmother in the nunnery yet. I just happened to go to send her an invitation. Mrs. Zhao glanced at Zhao Wei, but did not force her to stay. Mother wrong, take Su Yetu out. Su Wan packed the medicine box and watched Zhao Wei send her out. General Zhao, you stay here, you don't have to see me off. Zhao Wei saw the polite and distant smile on Su Wan's face, pursed her thin lips into a thin line, and nodded slightly. Su Wan and Rong's mother left quickly. Is this the reason why you don't want to start a family? Mrs. Zhao's old voice came from the house and sighed, Xiao Yi, Su Yetu is certainly good and very popular. She is already married. Mother Zhao Wei seemed a little unhappy. It was impossible for you before, and it will be even more impossible for you in the future. Mrs. Zhao took a deep look at her taciturn and unsmiling little son, and said seriously, if you really love and protect her, you must learn to stay away from her and live your own life. It's good for her. Zhao Wei lowered his eyes, understanding what his mother meant. In the past, Su Wan was the prince's fiancée, and in the future, she was Gu Su's family. Unless she divorced there would be no possibility for the two of them. He never thought about taking someone else's wife, nor did he deliberately appear in front of her. Only. Zhao Wei's eyes dimmed. When he saw her, he couldn't help but feel a connection between the two people, even if they would never meet again, even if they were just doing business. All reason is no match for involuntary control. I know what's appropriate. Mrs. Zhao didn't want her son to be trapped in love, and it was an impossible relationship. The queen said that Princess Yangfu's daughter, the Princess of Linan County, has come to the capital, and she intends to bring you two together. Can you go and meet her one day when you have time? No, Zhao Wei refused. Madame Zhao frowned and heard Zhao Wei say, it would be unfair to anyone I marry in my current state. You. Mother, I have something else to do. Take my leave. Zhao Wei left without waiting for Madame Zhao to persuade her again. Mrs. Zhao had no choice but to wait for Rong's mother to come and ask her to tell the queen the matter. Su Wan was about to return home and prepare gifts for a visit to the nunnery. Gu Beizu's illness disrupted her plan, so she had to ask Qi Wu to go to the nunnery to inform her about Mrs. Zhao's birthday and invite her to attend. Little did she know that after Cao Suxio gave her eye drops in front of the Linan County Lord, the Linan County Lord was uneasy and arranged for someone to keep an eye on Su Wan. Due to the many secret guards around Su Wan, those people did not dare to approach and had to squat in front of the Duke Zhao's mansion. Seeing that Su Wan went to Duke Zhao's mansion, and Rong's mother who was beside Mrs. Zhao sent it out in person, she looked very respectful, so she immediately returned to the Duke's mansion to tell the Lord of Linan County about the matter. Linan County Lord's face darkened when he heard his servant's reply. The Dingyuan Marquis mansion was in a state of decline, and Su Wan could not enter the Zhao Kuagong mansion. Could it be that Zhao Wei really fell in love with Su Wan? At this time, Princess Yangfu came and saw the Lord of Linan County looking gloomy, with tender eyes showing love. Anan, who made you unhappy? Princess Yangfu glanced at the maid, and the maid withdrew. Linan County Lord saw his mother coming, his eyes lit up, and he asked with expectation, Mom, what did the queen's aunt say? Princess Yangfu couldn't bear to see the light in her eyes and touched her face. Anan, mother has selected many young talents from the capital for you. You can choose from them later. Linan's expression suddenly changed and he bit his lips tightly. The Zhao family was rejecting this. Su Wan went to Zhao Kuagong's mansion first, but the Zhao family refused the marriage. Linan dug his fingernails into his palms, his eyes changing. The author has something to say. Babies, Ruan Bao is busy today, so the update is a little short. I will make it up tomorrow. Good night. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruanmeng Baobao. Chapter 286. Marquis Guanyuan was regarded as a prominent figure in the capital and was known as one of the 8 great talents. He caught the eye of Princess Yangfu. This marriage was forced by Princess Yangfu. After Guanyuan Marquis became the consort, he could not join the official position, and there was no chance of realizing his ambition before he could realize it. Fortunately, Princess Yangfu's mother, concubine Xian, was not only the late emperor's concubine, but also a cousin who had the companionship of young people. Before she died of illness, she asked for grace from the late emperor, allowing Marquis Guanyuan to get a real job, but she was sent to the capital. Princess Yangfu could not live without her husband-in-law. Because of the affection of the concubine Xian in the heart of the late emperor, even though it was against the ancestral system for the princess to leave the capital with her husband-in-law, she still allowed Princess Yangfu to follow her wishes. The family of 3 left Beijing and their daughter was canonized as the head of Linan County. Until half a year ago, the former Marquis of Guanyuan died of illness, leaving only 2 legitimate daughters and several concubines, and no sons. Princess Yangfu returned to Beijing with her family, and her consort inherited the title. The head of Linan County is very clear about his identity. The late emperor has passed away, and the current queen mother has no relationship with their mother and daughter, but they have a relationship of interest. Princess Yangfu had a good relationship with the eldest princess. The queen mother wanted to win over the eldest princess and also wanted to get a connection from Princess Yangfu. In the past 6 months, the queen mother had sent people to invite Princess Yangfu to visit the national temple several times. "Mother, I won't marry anyone but Zhao Wei." The head of Linan County fell in love with Zhao Wei at the first sight when he came to Beijing. Whether it was his personality or family background, he was in line with her wishes. Looking around, there was no other family in the entire capital. Erlang could compare with him. "I don't care, I will go to the palace to find the queen mother later and ask her to grant a marriage to Zhao Wei and me." Princess Yangfu couldn't help but have a headache when she saw that the head of Linan County was determined to marry Zhao Wei after eating the weight. Forceful melons are not sweet. The Zhao family does not agree with this marriage, and you will not be happy if you marry her. "Mother, when you married your father, wasn't it because the emperor's grandfather granted you the marriage, and he couldn't resist the decree? Didn't you and your father have a deep love for each other?" Linan said coquettishly. "Mother, emotional matters can be resolved after marriage." Cultivated. The smile on Princess Yangfu's face froze, and she pulled away Linan's hand from her arm. "Go and ask the queen mother to make the decision. If she doesn't agree, you have to let go of Zhao Wei." Linan knows. Linan happily asked someone to pass the sign to the palace. As soon as the sign was delivered to the palace, the lord of Linan County thought that she would not be able to enter the palace until tomorrow. Unexpectedly, news came to the palace that afternoon, and the queen mother arranged for people around her to take her into the palace. The lord of Linan County went to Xi'an Palace. Anton stood guard at the door and said respectfully, "County lord, the queen mother is waiting for you inside. Come in with me." "Thank you, Mammy." The lord of Linan County followed Mamian into the palace and paid his respects to the queen mother. The queen mother, Jinan. The queen mother was sitting on the couch, drinking bird's nest. When she heard Linan's greetings, she lazily opened her eyelids and said, "Girl, you know that Ai's family is bored, so why don't you pass the sign to relieve Ai's boredom?" Put down the bowl, he held the handkerchief and pressed the corners of his lips, beckoned to Linan and said, "Sit next to Ijia. Linan knows that my grandmother loves me the most, so I came to the palace to disturb you." Linan County lord sat down next to her and gave the queen mother a loving leg. "You." The queen mother nodded the Linan County lord's forehead. "You are so attentive today, what do you want the Ai family to help you with?" Linan County lord was silent for a while and said softly, "Grandma, after my mother, you are the best person to me. I am now 17 years old and have already reached the age of marriage. When I enter the palace today, in addition to relieving my boredom, I would also like to ask you to marry Linen and Zhao Wei. The author has something to say. Babies, there is still an update and it will be quite late. You go to bed first and watch it when you get up tomorrow morning. Good night. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 287. The Lord of Linen County picked up his skirt and knelt in front of the Queen Mother, Grandma. Among the sons of the capital, Linen only likes Zhao Wei. If Linen can marry into the Duke Zhao's palace, it will be of great benefit to you. She pinched the Empress Dowager's weak spot and said, the Duke of Zhao is the Empress's support, and the Empress and you are facing each other. Linen is different. Your kindness to Linen will always be in Linen's heart. If it weren't for your arrangement, my father would have replied, I may not have a real job in Beijing, I'm afraid I will just be an idle prince. Our whole family will remember your kindness. If Linen can get what he wants, she will be the daughter-in-law of the Zhao family and Zhao Wei's pillow. After all, the queen is just Zhao Wei's cousin. Who will he turn to in his heart? The smile on the Queen Mother's face faded, her expression became serious, and she considered Linen. Linen County Lord curled his fingers nervously, not showing any timidity at all. If the queen has a son, maybe the Zhao family will give it a try. Grandma, you should have confidence in Linen. Can you catch Zhao Wei? The Queen Mother looked at the Linen County Lord sharply. He was not top-notch in appearance or character. Given Zhao Wei's family background, how many noble ladies want to marry him? Today, 26 or 7, there is no sign of getting married, which shows that the requirements are extremely high. Linen County Lord smiled shyly and knelt down beside the Queen Mother. I'm afraid Linen can't do it myself, but Linen has a grandmother. Her apricot-like eyes showed admiration. You will help Linen, right? The Queen Mother stared at her for a long time and suddenly touched her head. Good boy, Grandma will help you. The head of Linen County hugged the Queen Mother in surprise. Grandma, you are so kind to Linen. His eyes are full of determination to win. As soon as the Lord of Linen County left, Nanian brought a cup of health tea and poured a cup for the Queen Mother. Mother, if you interfere in the Zhao family's affairs, I'm afraid that General Zhao won't dare to disobey, but he won't look directly at the Linen County Lord, which will offend the Zhao family. The Queen Mother sneered. The AI family held Mrs. Zhao hostage in order to return to the palace, and they have already offended the Zhao family. She didn't take it seriously and said, a man cannot love a woman, but he will not love his child. If when it comes to other people, the AI family may not be completely sure, but when it comes to Zhao Wei, if he marries Linen, he will be responsible for Linen. Anton was about to speak but stopped. The Queen Mother took a sip of tea and said, Mrs. Zhao's birthday will be in a few days. Then the marriage decree will be read out. Nanian looked at the Queen Mother in surprise. Is the Empress going to force the Zhao family to recognize this marriage in front of the guests? She felt uneasy and wanted to give some advice. At this time, someone outside the door announced, the Queen Mother wishes to see you. Past the Queen Mother put down the teacup and guessed the purpose of the Queen's visit. Anton had no choice but to retreat. The Queen Mother came in and greeted the Queen Mother, Mother. I don't go to the Three Treasures Palace for anything. What do you want to do when you come to AI's house today? The Queen Mother was too lazy to make excuses with the Queen. She glanced at the Queen's haggard face, her face darkened, and she didn't understand why the Queen had no one to rely on, so why did she insist on being with her? She is against it? The Queen composed herself and explained her purpose. Mother, the envoys from Ziliang sent a generous gift and credentials. Suwan, the daughter of Marquis Dingyuan, was instrumental in saving the Queen. She is a distinguished guest of Ziliang. The Queen listened to Suwan's speech. We are willing to sell their war horses to Dazhu every year, open up trade between the two countries, and conclude a century-old alliance. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Bao. Chapter 288. The Queen Mother couldn't help but look at it seriously, frowning and said, "Isn't Marquis Dingyuan dead? His stepdaughter married the prince, and who did his legitimate daughter Suwan marry?" The queen lowered her eyes, not knowing that the Queen Mother deliberately asked this question to pave the way for her rejection of her proposal. Suwan married a Juran and now lives in the capital. She has excellent medical skills and is known as a miraculous doctor. The queen did not do Tai Chi with the Queen Mother, but said directly, Ding Yuan Ho and Mrs. Ho both passed away. So in the evening, she made great contributions to the great Zhou dynasty, and the concubine discussed with the cabinet ministers to appoint her as the princess of Sui Yang. The Queen Mother's eyes turned cold and she sneered, "The queen has already made a decision with the ministers. Are you here to inform the AI family?" The queen smiled and said, "If the Queen Mother has no objection, I will prepare an edict with the cabinet ministers." What if the AI family needs to discuss this matter? How could the Queen Mother not know about Suwan? She has a deep memory of Qi Min. This woman made Ji Xian break with her mother and son. After his death, Suwan often went to the palace, and Cheng Huan was engaged to the prince at the queen's knees. If it weren't for Ji Xian's manipulation, Suwan would have married into the East Palace and lived a prosperous life. She didn't know how happy it was to be suddenly arranged to marry a farmer. It seemed like all the anger she had suffered at the hands of Qi Min came out at this moment. Ji Xian did not hesitate to deny herself as a mother because of Qi Min, and because she hated Qi Min for not wanting to make her daughter feel better. This was the best news the Queen Mother heard in the temple. Now the news brought by the Queen made the Queen Mother feel as uncomfortable as swallowing a fly. This is a serious matter. After the morning court tomorrow, we will leave the Ministry of Rights, the Ministry of Personnel and the ministers of the cabinet to renegotiate the issue of canonizing Suwan as the princess. The Queen Mother leaned sleepily on the big welcome pillow and issued an eviction order. The AI family is exhausted. If anything happens, we'll talk about it tomorrow. The queen didn't say anything, and left with the others. After leaving Xi'an Palace and standing in the sunshine, the queen looked up at the red walls and green tiles, and couldn't help but think of the secret letter Ji Xian handed her, which explained Suwan's life experience. Suwan is the daughter of the prince and turns out to be the princess. It's just that this level of identity cannot be exposed, so I have to make a fuss from Ziliang and give Suwan the name of Princess Suwan. Although she has no power, her status is not such that she will be looked down upon. Any cat or dog can be bullied. Seeing that the queen did not move, the female officer looked sad, and she couldn't help but become more worried. My queen, what if the Queen Mother doesn't agree? She has to agree. Even if she doesn't agree, the queen was determined to do it. After a moment, he sighed again. Ji Xian also explained in the letter that the envoys going to Ziliang this time were all his trusted aides, and he was not afraid of leaking what happened in Ziliang. The queen of Ziliang was Qi Min, and she had planned to confer Suwan as the crown princess. Everyone in the capital knew about Suwan's identity. Anyone who is interested will know that the queen of Ziliang kingdom is Qi Min, and it won't be long before the news that Qi Min is still alive will reach Dazhu, along with her identity as the queen. The queen couldn't help but have a headache. In their impression, Qi Min was the daughter of the female general of the Western Liang kingdom, but she didn't know that she was actually the daughter of the Supreme Empress. So without further delay, Suwan's account ban had to be implemented before the news came to Dezhou. In the blink of an eye, it was Mrs. Zhao's birthday. On this day, Gu Huizi got up early as usual to go to the morning court. Suwan dressed him personally. Staring at Gu Huizi's clear and beautiful face, she couldn't help but curiously asked, "You leave home first, and then go to the regent's mansion to dress up and go to court?" Gu Huizi gave a low hum and pinched the back of her neck with his fingers. "Only if I leave the Gu mansion as Ting Yuan will I attract attention." Suwan shrank when he squeezed her neck and hid behind her. "It's itchy, please don't." His hand pressed forward on her neck, touched her lips softly, and kissed her deeply. Suwon subconsciously wanted to hug his neck, but Gu Huizi let go of her. I have to go to court today, so don't bother me. He gently rubbed her lips with his fingers, and said with deep eyes, later, see you at Zhao Mansion. Suwon pouted, did he recruit too few? When did you see him being serious? Go quickly, don't be late. Suwon tightened his belt tightly. Gu Huizi smiled, packed his belt and left. Suwon dressed up, finished breakfast, and waited for the time to come. Bring a gift and the orb to the Duke of Zhao's mansion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 289. When Suwon and Gu Beizu walked to the door, they were ready to get into the carriage. Sister-in-law, look, Gu Beizu pointed to the house next door. Suwon looked over suspiciously and saw the vacant mansion next door. The front door was wide open at the moment, and servants were carrying boxes and cages in and out. Someone was planning to move in. Sister-in-law, do we have neighbors? Gu Beizu's eyes were shining, curious about the people who would live next door. The people who live here are either rich or noble. If you can come and go, ask your elder brother for his opinion. After confirming who lives here, Suwon remembered Gu Jingyun's identity, paused, and warned, if anyone asks you in our family, don't let the news out easily. Yeah, I know, Gu Beizu smiled and frowned. The eldest brother said, you must not have the intention to harm others, and you must have the intention to guard against others. I don't want to play with others, and having the second brother is enough. Suwon touched her head, you can make friends, but Jingyun can't be with you all the time. You are too lonely alone. Gu Beizu tilted her head and thought for a moment, then shook her head, I don't want friends. Suwon pursed her lips. How could she not know what she was thinking in her heart? I'm afraid I was scared because I was bullied when I was a child. Not everyone is bad. She comforted Gu Beizu in a low voice. Gu Beizu thought to herself, if they are as good as my sister-in-law, I will be friends with them. The two of them got into the carriage. The moment the curtains fell, Suwon saw a figure coming out of the mansion next door, which looked very much like Gu Qingsong. She quickly opened the curtain and looked back, and sure enough, that person was Gu Qingsong. Sister-in-law, what are you looking at? Gu Beizu stuck her head out. Suwon put her palm on her forehead and pushed her head into the carriage. It's nothing. Changed the topic. Wait to go to Duke Zhao's mansion, I'm nervous. Gu Beizu hugged Suwon's arm, leaned his head on her shoulder, and said sweetly, sister-in-law is not afraid when you are around me. Suwon pinched her fair cheeks and thought that Gu Qingsong lived next door to the Gu mansion. It would have taken a lot of effort to capture that mansion, which showed his determination to win back his wife and children. Forget it, leave it to him. The carriage stopped in front of Duke Zhao's mansion, and Suwon and Gu Beizu got off the carriage. The servant from Duke Zhao's mansion quickly led Qi Shiliu to stop the carriage. The maid came forward and said, Mrs. Gu, come with me. Suwon raised her eyebrows when she heard the title. Many people called her Dr. Su, more often Miss Su, and very few people called her Madame Gu. It is undeniable that this title is quite pleasant. Thank you. Suwon nodded to the maid. Seeing the smile on Suwon's face, the maid couldn't help but blush, and led the way to pay her birthday to Mrs. Zhao. Suwon felt that when she entered Zhao's house, she was next to her, and the fingers holding her hand tightened a little. Don't be afraid, my sister-in-law is here. Suwon held Gu Beizu's hand firmly with her backhand, and the sister-in-law went to Rong'an Hall together. When passing by the waterside pavilion, Suwon didn't notice the few people sitting inside, who were staring at her and talking. Sister, is she Suwon? Tang Hao Yu looked at Suwon critically. She was dressed very ordinary. Seeing that she was bringing a little girl of 8 or 9 years old, Lu frowned. Dingyuan Marquis Mansion has long been in decline. Now that the title has been taken back, Mrs. Su went to the nunnery. What qualifications does Suwon have to marry a peasant? Come to the birthday party. Linan County Lord stared at Suwon with jealous eyes, as if he didn't expect that Suwon would really dare to come. Hearing Tang Haoyu's words, he curled his lips, fearing that Suwon would not be able to live a hard life and wanted to climb the big tree of Duke Zhao's mansion. Cousin, not everyone is self-aware. Suwon came here just to climb a high tree. I don't know what tricks she used to seduce General Zhao. She didn't even consider how much she weighed, hoping to enter the Zhao family. The head of Linan County was filled with jealousy. When her marriage to Zhao Wei was finalized, if this bitch dared to find Zhao Wei, she would definitely make it impossible for Suwon to survive in the capital. Tang Haoyu's heart moved. She didn't grow up in the capital, but she had met her a few times. She knew that she was narrow-minded and coquettish. When her father was a marquis, her cousin looked down upon her. Now my father has passed away, and my mother passed away soon after she was lingering on her sickbed. The Guangyuan Marquis mansion fell into the hands of the second uncle, and the cousin didn't even take a look at the big house. Her eyes were too high, so how could she talk to her about such gossip? Sister, why do you need to be acquainted with her? Today the Queen Mother will marry you to General Zhao. From now on, you will be the fourth young lady of Duke Zhao's mansion. How can Suwon compare with you? Not to mention her life experience, just because she is married he is not worthy of General Zhao. Seeing the lack of reaction from the Linan County Lord, Tang Haoyu couldn't help but say, I'm not even worthy of carrying your shoes. Linan County Lord twitched the corners of his mouth but said nothing. Sister, if you have any troubles, just tell your sister and I will help you, Tang Haoyu said warmly. Although Guangyuan Haofu is her home, she feels like she is living under someone else's roof. Grandma has nothing to do now, and all the affairs of the house are in the hands of Princess Yangfu. From now on, Princess Yangfu will probably make the final decision on her marriage to her sister Tang Nuan. If she doesn't please the Lord of Linan County and make Princess Yangfu happy, how can she find a good marriage? When Tang Haoyu thought of this, she couldn't help but look at the girl sitting on the railing beside her. She was wearing a long green dress with 2 buds in her hair. She was holding a red apple in her hand, wiped it on her sleeve, put it in her mouth and chewed it. Taking a big bite, chewing with bulging cheeks, eyes shining with satisfaction, he took another big bite of the apple. Tang Haoyu looked at her heartless look and had no idea that their fate had already fallen into the hands of others, like fish on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered. The sight was probably too intense. The girl who was munching on an apple noticed it and looked at it with bright black eyes. She raised the half-eaten apple in her hand and smiled coquettishly. Sister, do you want to eat an apple? It's so sweet. Eat it yourself. Oh. Tang Nuan blinked her bright almond eyes and gnawed at the apple again. Seeing her like this, Tang Haoyu was filled with unknown anger. All she could do was eat all day long, and it was like mud that couldn't hold up the wall. The head of Linan County looked at the 2 sisters with a half-smile, and sneered in his heart, looking down upon them. Tang Haoyu has many eyes and is focused on his own business. Tang Nuan's brain felt like it was in her mother's womb. She had enough to eat and could cheat anyone who gave her some food. She waved to Tang Haoyu, waited for Tang Haoyu to get closer, and said in her ear, Suwon is in the limelight now because of her medical skills. Please help me cripple her hand. You like Mr. Tingyuan, I will ask the Queen Mother for a decree on your behalf. Tang Haoyu was shocked when she saw Linan County Lord staring at her, waiting for her answer. After a long moment, she nodded. The favorite of the Nongmen group, the female supporting role is a full-level boss. Author, Ruan Meng Baobao. Chapter 290. Suwon and Gu Beizu arrived by chance. Mrs. Zhao was invited to the ancestral hall, and she was placed in the flower hall to wait. She was probably worried that her current status, sitting with all the ladies, would attract criticism. Therefore, this flower hall only has 2 sisters-in-law and 2 maids to serve them. It is very clean. After a while, there were footsteps. Suwan raised her eyes and saw Zhao Wei wearing a black robe and walking steadily. The sunlight separated bright and dark light on his face, and his outline became deeper and sharper. "Aren't you busy?" Suwan came back to her senses and asked in surprise. "You don't have to entertain guests." "Aren't you a guest?" Zhao Wei glanced at the tea and exquisite cakes placed on the small table, and landed on Suwan's white face. He seemed to be in better spirits than last time. "I came to say thank you. Last time I opened after taking the medicine, my mother slept peacefully." "That's good." Suwan took out a small porcelain bottle from her sleeve, put it on the small table, and motioned to Zhao Wei to check it. "You came just in time. I developed a typhoid medicine, and I originally planned to give it to you after the birthday banquet." Zhao Wei picked up the small porcelain bottle, pulled out the small stopper, poured out a pill and looked at it. "I don't understand medical science." "I can't understand it? I'll take it back to the military doctor." "Okay," Suwan replied, "if there is no problem, you can directly send someone to Zinglin Medical Center to negotiate with someone." Zhao Wei saw that she was doing business and said There was something strange about the atmosphere in the room. Suwan had finished all she needed to say. Seeing Zhao Wei staring at the porcelain vase, she felt a little embarrassed, even uncomfortable. At this time, someone called Zhao Wei anxiously. "Wait here for a moment. If you need anything, tell the maid." Zhao Wei put the medicine bottle in his sleeve pocket and left. Suwan breathed an inexplicable sigh of relief and turned around to see Gu Beizi staring at Zhao Wei's back. "What are you looking at?" "Sister-in-law, I remember this big brother." Gu Beizi thought for a while and smiled softly. "He came to our house and gave us a lot of things, right?" "Yes." Suwan flicked her head with her finger. "That's a thank you gift." Gu Beizi covered her forehead. "Big brother is a good person." Suwan laughed. He was indeed a good person. A quarter of an hour later, Rong's mother came in and invited Suwan and Gu Beizi. "Dr. Su, Miss Gu-san, you have been waiting for a long time. The old lady has returned to Rongan Hall and specially asked the old slave to take you there." "It doesn't matter." Suwan took Gu Beizi's hand and the 2 of them went to Rongan Hall. When passing the moon arch, a figure suddenly rushed over. Suwan wanted to avoid it, but behind her was Gu Beizi, so she had to reach out to catch it. The momentum was so great that Suwan couldn't help but stumble, and her back was pressed against a tree trunk to stabilize herself. "Hiss!" Suwan gasped as her back hurt. I'm sorry." "Did the bump hurt you?" Tang Nuan bumped her head on Suwan's shoulder and was stunned. Unexpectedly, Suwan didn't avoid it. She hurriedly stood up and rubbed Suwan's back, her face full of guilt. He said, "Shall I give you some medicine?" Suwan raised her hand to block Tang Nuan's hand. Seeing that she was about to cry, she declined. "No, it doesn't hurt anymore. I'm very heavy, and this bump will definitely hurt." "No, I'll hire a doctor for you." Tang Nuan said nothing, holding Suwan's hand to leave. "I won't be relieved until the doctor says it's okay." Rong's mother came to her senses and said quickly, "Miss Tang-san, there is a doctor in Duke Zhao's mansion, and I will hire a doctor for divine Dr. Su." Suwan echoed, "I'm a doctor, and no one knows the situation better than me." "It's really okay." After a pause, he added, "You can't be so rash next time." Tang Nuan said with a wilted head, "I won't do it next time." Suwan smiled and prepared to withdraw her hand. Tang Nuan let go of her hand and gave Suwan a toothy smile. "I am Miss Tang-san from the Guanyuan Marquis Mansion. I will come to find you after the banquet is over." After saying that, before Suwan could react, she carried he lifted up his skirt and ran away in a hurry. Didn't you promise not to be rash? Suwon was a little helpless. Mother Rong asked with concern, Dr. Su, please follow me to see the doctor. It's okay, it doesn't hurt at all, Suwon urged, don't delay wishing the old lady a happy birthday. Rong's mother was worried and planned to bring the person to Rong Hall before asking the government doctor to take a look at Suwon. Seeing Rong's mother leading the way, Suwon squeezed the paper ball that Tang Nuan had stuffed in her palm. Sister-in-law, wait for Beizu to give you medicine. Gu Beizu had tears in his eyes and did not miss Suwon's painful look when she hit the tree trunk. Suwon moved her shoulders, which made her back hurt. Okay, give me some medicine when you get home. Gu Beizu said yes and was very vigilant along the way, fearing that someone would bump into Suwon again. Suwon arranged Gu Beizu's clothes and unfolded the paper. There was only one line on it, be careful of Tang Haoyu and Tang Qingyu. Tang Haoyu, Tang Qingyu? Suwon remembered the identities of these two people. Tang Haoyu was the eldest lady of the Guangyuan Marquis Mansion, and Tang Qingyu was the head of Linan County. The person I bumped into just now claimed to be Miss Tang San, wasn't she also from the Guangyuan Marquis Mansion? Why should she be tipped off? Tang Nuan's clean and pure eyes flashed through her mind. Suwon crumpled the paper into a ball and stuffed it into her sleeve. I can't figure out when she had offended someone from Guangyuan Haofu. It seems that the only time they met was the confrontation between two carriages on the street, but she also resolved it. Suddenly, Suwon remembered Cao Sugzio next to Linan County Lord. What was this woman up to? Suwon frowned and prepared to act according to the opportunity. When Suwon arrived at Rong'an Hall, there were already many ladies inside. As soon as she entered, the laughter inside suddenly fell silent as if pressing the pause button. Mrs. Zhao waved to Suwon and said kindly, Girl Su, have you been waiting for a long time? Come to me quickly. Suwon came to Mrs. Zhao and saluted her to wish her a birthday. Old lady, I wish you blessings like the East Sea and longevity as long as the southern mountains. She presented the birthday gift she had prepared with both hands. Gu Beizu also paid his birthday in a decent manner. Mrs. Zhao smiled from ear to ear, took the birthday gift, handed it to the maid aside, and held Gu Beizu's hand. This little girl is your third sister? She is very cute and lovable. Suwon and Gu Beizu were pulled by Mrs. Zhao to sit next to her, talking about common things as if no one else was around. The ladies sitting below looked at it with different thoughts. Mrs. Zhao was trying to raise her identity to Suwon so as not to be looked down upon by them. The head of Linan County stared at Suwon and was so jealous that when she congratulated Mrs. Zhao on her birthday, Mrs. Zhao's attitude was not warm and she was very polite and distant. In comparison, Mrs. Zhao liked Suwon more. Why? What virtues and abilities does Suwon have? The head of Linan County gave Tang Haoyu a look. Wan, why do you have to come alone today? Didn't Mrs. Su come? Tang Haoyu's words instantly broke the atmosphere in the room.